After weeks of backstage chaos, emotional outbursts, and viral outbursts, the Evita cast reportedly reached their breaking point. And instead of skirting the drama, they finally said what everyone has been thinking. We refuse to work with Rachel Zegler. You heard that right. The partner in crime and one of the most entitled people deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online toxically. I'm a narcissist, and she's not going to be saved by the prince. Nasty, nasty. And the last part of her words actually irritated everyone so much that they fled. This mess was well played, and multiple insiders are now spilling tea from inside the theater, and it's worse than anyone could have predicted. It is said that the cast members got together, barged into a private conference, and told the producers bluntly, "It's her or us. This isn't diva behavior anymore. It's fool and rebellion." As Rachel's crew frantically tries to change the story, the truth is already coming out. Entire sequences are being altered in real time, and secret rehearsals are being leaked without her replacements being trained because one main actress couldn't hold it together. Rachel, what's it like to be in a movie with Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu? Great, it's fate. I'm honored. I don't know why I sound so angry right now. Am I a psychopath? No, I've been getting a lot of questions like, how do I feel? I feel amazing. This was supposed to be her big theater comeback, but instead it's turning into a total career implementation. And what happens next might be the most brutal twist yet, because once your entire cast turns against you, there's no script that can save you. Tonight is the real beginning of my life as a young lady of America. When Rachel Zegler was cast as Eva Perón, it was intended to be a career-defining role and a chance to silence her critics. A daring move from Disney princess to Broadway royalty, and for a brief period of time it nearly worked. Rachel was desperate to play Baron, and you know it was her idea. We saw an additional tape, and she was completely amazing. You know that she collaborated with our musical supervisor in New York on the song's material, and her renditions of the songs were amazing. The producers rolled out the red carpet, and headlines on social media praised her vocal range and fearless demeanor. Theater blogs dubbed her casting-inspired refreshing. And Rachel's modern rebirth of Evita, Rachel naturally soaked up the hype right away, tweeting cryptic lyrics, posting dramatic selfies from rehearsals, and reminding everyone that this was her calling. However, reality quickly set in, and I would ask, why am I starring in the West End version of Evita if I had no taste? Rachel Zegler, I admire Rachel Zegler so much that I wanted to let you know that I would be front and center to watch this icon slay. Oh my God, when are you people going to realize what a powerhouse she is? Oh my God, I am so excited to see this diva when it first opens. Rumors began to circulate from behind the scenes that rehearsals weren't going well, that Rachel was arriving late, arguing with vocal coaches, changing her choreography, and allegedly complaining that Evita needed to feel more like a revolution rather than a musical. Some called it bold, while others called it delusional. I can't believe it, and I had no interest in seeing Rachel Zegler in any films. I thought she was fantastic and really funny, and the honeymoon didn't just end, it went up in flames. Co-stars noticed her energy shift, which started as passionate but quickly turned to controlling. Rumor has it that she argued with the choreographer over stage blocking, dismissed notes from the vocal director, and at one point allegedly stormed out mid-session yelling, "You can't tell me how to play Eva, I am Eva." Going into this, and watching this made me forget that I really don't like her as an actress. All is forgiven with the Snow White controversy. Maybe I'm going to show up for it. I'll be the first to admit that when I saw her interviews, I detested her. I thought, ew, how snide, how condescending. It was obvious that this was no longer the dream role. It was a ticking time bomb, and every rehearsal brought it closer to detonation. However, the cast wasn't just watching the explosion. They were preparing to fight back, and what they did next would completely upend this production. Later, I thought, wait a minute, she's acting like that. They told her to do that. You can't tell me that this young woman was given such a famous role. I then said, thanks, I hate it. No, let's use our brains. They have been telling her to give us that for a long time, and we underscore on her. I don't know, but it started with eye rolls and whispers in the wings, but by week 3, the atmosphere inside Evita rehearsals had gone from tense to unbearable. Several cast members, some of whom had years of stage experience, allegedly started calling Rachel Hurricane Zegler behind her back, and every day brought a new outburst, a new tantrum, or a fresh round of creative disagreements. Translation: screaming matches ignore instructions, and Rachel treats every rehearsal as if it were her own personal revolution. It's not just the cast that feels the pressure. I mean to be inside my head that it's hard, because stagehands reportedly started switching shifts to avoid working when Rachel was in the building. One assistant choreographer allegedly called Rachel the most exhausting performer I've ever worked with, and even the wardrobe staff wasn't safe, according to one leak that claimed Rachel insisted on changing her costume 5 times, saying it didn't fit her vision of Evita's feminist power arc. The worst part was that everyone was being cautious and saying things like, "I should get paid for every hour that it is streamed online if I'm going to stand there for 18 hours wearing an iconic Disney princess's dress." According to one backstage source, Rachel turned every rehearsal into a battleground because people were afraid to correct her or speak up. If you made a mistake, you would receive a passive-aggressive stare during practice, or, worse, Rachel would supposedly call you out loud in front of the entire crew. Things started to change because of Rachel, her voice, her ego, and her spotlight. "I'm so sorry, Rachel. Do you have time to pass some of our autographs, Rachel?" On the way out, some cast members started taking notes, not just mental ones, but actual written logs of everything they saw, including every outburst, every meltdown, and every time she defied orders. Some even started filming snippets of rehearsal in case things got ugly. Spoiler alert, they did the boiling point during a full cast staging of A New Argentina. Rachel allegedly became irate with the blocking change, halted mid-round, raised her hands and screamed, "I'm not doing the circus anymore." A member of the ensemble eventually shouted what everyone had been thinking, "She's got to go," before she walked off the stage in silence. The actors were prepared to handle it themselves if the production staff wasn't going to, and their next move would totally change the play. At that point, the cast chose to act because they were exhausted, fed up, and over it. The moment didn't include pyrotechnics. The producers didn't anticipate this, but the cast had had enough of the recent Argentina breakdown. There was no yelling or threats, just a cool, collected decision and a united front. According to one insider, a written complaint detailing Rachel's behavior in brutal detail, complete with dates, incidents, and direct quotes, was drafted and signed by almost half of the cast after a small group, including members of the lead ensemble, supporting actors, and even a longtime vocal coach, allegedly requested a private meeting with the director. According to reports, rehearsals have become unsafe, unproductive, and entirely centered around one person's emotional instability. The real drama, however, occurred during an emergency meeting where cast representatives confronted the director and producers face-to-face. According to several witnesses, the message was straightforward: "We will not share the stage with Rachel Zegler." This wasn't a complaint anymore, it was a line in the sand. According to leaked rumors, the producers were shocked, with one allegedly responding, "You're asking us to fire our lead?" One cast member responded, "No, we're telling you that if you don't, we won't continue working." The power dynamic abruptly changed because it was no longer just about one problematic star. Rather, it was about the entire show failing from the inside out. The producers were forced to keep Rachel and risk losing half of the ensemble or severing their relationship with the production's main star. What transpired were 2 full days of closed rehearsals and schedule reorganization, but anyone who paid attention understood that meant crisis mode. Although Rachel was allegedly absent, rehearsals reportedly went on without her stand-ins, and scenes were reworked, songs were reassigned, and the message was clear that whether or not Rachel was fired, she was no longer involved, and the cast wasn't just taking back the stage, they were rewriting the future of the entire production. However, the producers weren't finished playing defense because their next move would draw even more attention. The producers were officially backed into a corner, and every option looked bad. On one side, they had Rachel Zegler, the star with name recognition, tabloid buzz, and a major Hollywood fan base. On paper, she was still a draw, but behind the scenes, she was radioactive. The cast had turned, the crew was exhausted, and the directors were already rehearsing scenes without her. On the other side, they had a mutinous ensemble, loyal, professional, and more importantly, ready to walk. Sources say the producers held a string of urgent meetings, some even involving executives from Rachel's agency, and PR team, there were phone calls late into the night, attempts to calm the cast, and even a proposal to bring in a conflict mediator. One insider claimed someone floated the idea of turning the production into a dual lead format, essentially splitting the role of Eva between Rachel and an alternate to avoid further confrontation. That idea was immediately rejected by the cast at one point, according to whispers. The creative director reportedly asked, "What if we delay the premiere?" To which someone shot back, "What if we delay it until she's gone?" When the producers realized they were losing control, they began to hear whispers that Rachel had been quietly suspended, not fired, but given time off from the production, of course.